Welcome to episode 11 of OG Foundation in Elodium. I am Sovereign Non of Elodium. These are the chickens. There's little Kudo over there, the one baby of wisdom right there. Dinah the rooster next to her. Speedy there, who had 7 babies recently. Or one of them, whom has been named Intrepid. And then that is either Wish or Star. I can't really differentiate them because they're like twins. And over here we got Little Boogie, born this spring, whom I incubated after Coco failed in her hatching. And behind her is Hercules. We've got a courtyard here at the foot of the Citadel with 2 apple trees. There's a new apple tree over there, which was planted this year, so 3 apple trees. Then there's an apple tree over here, which died this year after a rough last year. So there's a gap in the tree coverage. There's a plum tree. There's a plum tree. And there's a plum tree. Here's a peach tree. There's a peach tree. And there's a tiny little peach tree next to it where it's been getting out competed. Here's a crenellation. There's a crenellation. Here's a crenellation under construction. I am going to now... Hey! Off of the roof there, Praetorian. Off of the roof, off of the roof. Go down there with nightshade. Off of the roof. Go, be good boy. Go. Go, down. Go. Come on, you're taking up too much time on the video. Get out of here. Not out on the roof. Off. Clyde is the leader of the 13 whom I incubated. That's him right there. He's loud and bossy, but Dinah, the big rooster, still bosses him around. We got some crazy looking forms here. So we're gonna clear them out in a crazy way. Prepare, chickens. Battle is upon you. Rah, rah. Okay. Now check this out. Are you ready? Oh wait, no. My bad. False alarm. I can't take that off because I need to put more lath on the outside of it so I can mortar more on. But, and I can't take the other one off either because I got to put more lath on. Alright, well that's what I'm doing now. I came out here to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So I got to lath those up so I can finish that wall section before I take those forms off. And then I've also got these little walls to build this week. What I'm currently thinking about this whole space up here is that it's going to be outdoor dining. It's going to be a beautiful dining place. We'll have a table over here, and we might have a little table here. Who knows? Maybe a table over there. Maybe a table in the corner. Maybe three table dining, and they can come up here and be in this enclosed castle citadel. It's going to be called the Citadel, or something, maybe integrating Elodium or OG Foundation into that, but it'll probably be called the Citadel. Hey, Butterscotch, off of the roof. Didn't you learn from, what's his name? What are you doing? Don't come to me. Whoa, nice flight. That was impressive. Impressive flying there. Yeah, that's a pretty crazy idea. Oh my god, now there's gonna be dining as well as a rental. Oh my god, I'm gonna complain. So he didn't get a permit or authority for any of this. Oh my god, you can't do that in your own property. You can't just lease out your property for like you own it or something. You need permission from your overlords. We get a little reflection because we got the Vermont Land Trust lawyer watching. And he'll write another letter now. He'll write another letter saying, oh my God, I can't believe there's gonna be dining now. The last video said there's gonna be dining. I'm gonna write a letter to Aircrete, and I'm gonna file a charge that this guy's he's gonna have people eat food at a table in a place he built. Oh my God, Yeah, so that's what's become of this, is that we've got the part of the plot of what's going on is there's destroyers, there's local destroyers and wannabe overlords who want to destroy property, kill people, and tax and impose systems of governance. But here in Elodium, we are free and sovereign and don't have any government. It's pretty great. It's an enclave in Vermont full of roosters that just make noise and stuff. It's great. So I've prepped this area here, sealed up that hole, which because it's rained a bit, it's pooling a bit. And there's one more thing I have to seal. There's a hole here where this water is escaping, which I need to seal. And then I'll be able to Aircrete this, flatten it out, and it'll be much easier to get to these other Merlons and stuff when that area is flattened. Hey, Clyde, get off the roof. In the morning is the worst time for the roosters. They all want to make their noise, and then they bounce off each other, echo off each other. So it's like rooster singing. I could call it the Citadel cock. Be like a rooster on top of this coming over the Citadel. That'd be a good name for a place where you want to go to eat, right? Alright, that's all. Wednesday morning, got all these Merlons cut over here, and the lath on for Merlons 2, 3, and 4 over here, though I couldn't cut out the stuff in the middle all the way, but it'll give me a guide as far as how much to mortar on the forms, so I don't mortar in places where I shouldn't have, which I did a little bit over here, but since it was just one coat, it wasn't too difficult to cut out. And since these are all cut now, I can finish mortaring them up on their sections, and then maybe finish that railing potentially today, and then fill up the last hole for the Aircrete. Did a good job of sealing that big hole there. As you can see here, it's got like 10 gallons of water in there just from the rain. That's how much it's rained. It's wild. So it'll hold the Aircrete well. So I'll just bail that out before I end up doing the Aircrete. It's not a problem to just be holding water now, but just the one hole over there has to get sealed. And then I think tomorrow is Aircrete day, and I'll just get all ready for it today. And then, I'll show you that then. Wednesday afternoon, I decided to go for it and do the Aircrete. So here's the setup. I'm planning on doing 3 batches, a full bag of Portland per batch of Aircrete. I've got this Aircrete machine here where you get a foam and water mix there, which when it goes through this regulator turns it to something very like shaving cream, which will then mix the shaving cream with the Portland slurry to fill this entire tub. And then you'll have a Portland shaving cream, or a Portland cream, I suppose. And here's all the prep work I did for this area. So I got all these insulation panels, which are waste products from a nearby business. And I got as much the plywood off of them as I could. And then there's some other kind of shipping, packaging type materials that I'm going to put in there to take up some of the space. So, and then I got the drain extended vertically a little bit. So my plan is to put 2 batches on the left and then 1 batch on this side. And we'll see how that goes. So it's nice and thick. You can like hold itself up in a column like that. It's very tricky to get the settings just right on that regulator. And I just added more stuff into that thing in there, which had steel wool, and I added a copper scrub pad in there because it had gotten a little compacted in there, and seems like this is working great. My one concern is that when the air compressor kicks on, I'm not sure if the fuse can handle both at the same time, but I'm going to go check the air compressor. I think it should be at 50 psi. It was actually all the way down to 30. So I'm going to bring it up a bit, closer to 50. I can hear the foam making different sounds as I do this. That's close enough. I'm going to get back over there. Oh boy, now it looks quite a bit different. I gotta adjust. So here's that thing full of the Portland cream, and now I'm going to dump it in there one-handed so you can get a shot of it. Cancel that. I realized after dumping I probably should have mixed it quite a bit better, but it got down all the way into the hole and then covered up to there. So I'm hoping the next batch, which I'll pour over there, we'll do that whole area in the third batch here, but I'm just gonna get started on number 2. Here's where we're at after 2 batches. It didn't get full coverage back there. I was having a little bit of trouble getting it in the far corner, but still pretty darn good for 2 batches. It's good that I did it today because tomorrow will be another nice day and I'll have to get at least another batch on top of this after this cures, but first I've got one more to do over here and then that'll be it for today. All 3 batches are complete. The last one, I think I did the best of the 3. Added more water, which always helps, and I think I mixed it better. So you see some slump around the pieces of insulation here, so I think it'll take probably 1, if not 2 more batches to cover up everything on the left side. And then to make it totally level, it would probably require another on the right side. So I'm guessing it'll take another 3 batches altogether. And I only have 2 bags of Portland left, so I got through that entire order just about. So I need to grab some more Portland so that tomorrow I can do this Aircrete. And then hopefully I can seal it and get it to shed water before it rains. We have at least 2 days of good weather, and fingers crossed that all of it can come together. So I'll get another shot of all this, take a look at what it looks like now, because it'll probably slump a bit. It'll probably look very similar, but just a little bit lower level after it all cures. Good morning. It is Thursday, and here's how this looks today. I'll give you a little crunch test to see how strong it is. So if I push in lightly, it like collapses a little bit, you can see, and crumbles. Oh, I gotta push like somewhat firmly. Like if I just tap it like that, it doesn't do anything. I put one finger in. If I wanted to, I could probably, I'll do one test, I'll see how far I can push my finger. So I can push it right in. But it's plenty firm to be able to hold the next batch on top of it without any of the bubbles breaking. It'll get significantly stronger over the course of weeks, as long as it doesn't dry out too fast. It probably won't get to the strength of me being able to walk on it without compacting it. However, there will end up being mortar on top, so that's what will bear the load. This is all just for insulation and for filling the gap with materials that aren't going to decompose or corrode or whatever over time. So what I'm doing is, I gotta go get the other bag of Portland, but I've got 2 bags of Portland. I'm gonna mix those 2 up, put them both on the left side, And then I've got to go get more materials because I'm all out of Portland. But I'm also going to do one more batch of mortar. So over here I took that form off. And so I just got to bend the staples down and then get a smooth coat on that, as well as the back side of that part, which had the form on the back side. Same thing. Bend the staples and then get over there, and then those two gaps in the middle. And then once that's done, then we've got solid ferro cement. Now it's not quite a bond beam. It's kind of like a bond beam all the way across though, because of how it's built, which is now like 5 feet probably 5 feet thick. So basically it should just be getting stronger. So that's the plan for today. So I got the 2 batches of Aircrete on, put those pieces of plywood up to try to block from the sunlight. I realized I was going to wait to do the Aircrete later, but then I realized the sunlight is going to be killer, so I did the Aircrete as soon as possible to get as much time without direct sunlight as possible, because the sunlight is almost certainly going to cause the bubbles to pop faster, I think. But anyways, this looks really good. And I'll have to end up going higher with at least one more, I think, in that corner. But overall, I'm really happy with how it covers all the holes and stuff. So I will reassess what I need to do next after this cures, because it's surely going to slump a bit. But most likely it's get more materials and then add a couple more batches of Aircrete. Things have taken a turn, the planning, due to heavy rain forecast through the night and tomorrow, and the lack of my drainage. The Aircrete can't take that rain, so I need to get it sealed tonight. So I used every scrap of insulation that I got from salvage from that build site. I've got this as close to level as I can, using every piece of that insulation. And then added, how many, look at that, 6 foam cans so far. Might add up to 3 more, and then I'll include the foam cans in the structure right there. And I got an extension on that hole for that vertical skylight. So right now the foam is securing some of these insulation boards in. I gotta let that dry a little bit, then I'll apply more foam, and then I'm gonna just come right in with lath and mortar. I've got the drain over there. I'm gonna try to lath and mortar all this so that it drains all in one go in the first batch, so that overnight this whole thing will shed water. It's going to be very difficult. It's already like early afternoon, and this is going to take many batches of mortar. Assuming I even got the level right, I'm not positive I did, but it's going to be quite a task to get this all done. And wish me luck, and I'll give you a shot after we see what happens. Just to give you an idea, so I've covered it all with lath. No remesh or rebar, just lath at this point. And that's 2 buckets in, that's the 3rd, so just 1 batch for now, and I'm hoping this will deal with the majority of the rain from this storm. Unclear if I'll be able to get a 2nd batch on today. Halfway through the 2nd batch. So that's pretty much all I was able to get done. That's two batches finished before the rain. I'm not sure how confident I am about this shedding water. I haven't done a test, and it seems like there's lots of low spots. And the question is not whether there's low spots, but when those low spots build up, if they end up at that drain in the corner, or this drain in this corner, or if they end up draining like down there, which would be the worst case, or anywhere down there, because then it would just fill up that hole there that was in the other video with water. So ideally I'd get one more batch on before the rain comes, but it's evening. I don't think there's enough time, and this is all wet, so I don't know how I would don't think I could get over there. So anyways, but I'm really happy with how it is. Otherwise, it's not totally level. There's still a lot of work to do, but when this is dry and cured, I'm definitely going to add more, but it'll just be really nice to be able to walk out on that area being flat, and then I can much more easily do some finishing touches on these arches and those merlons and stuff. But I think that's all for today, unless I get really creative and figure out a way to do one more batch of mortar. Like maybe if I put the plywood down on that mortar in like an hour, then maybe I can just keep doing more, but it would damage that mortar for sure. Anyways, I'll think about it. So with the rain, it looks like it is probably going to go into this hole, unfortunately. I'll have to put, unless I put like a, I'll have to use a towel to get this whole puddle right here so it doesn't go there, unless it's somehow getting over there to that drain. Oh, maybe it is. It could be getting over here to the drain. Oh yeah, I'm walking on it. It doesn't feel super solid, really. It's so thin, I can feel it kind of giving way a little bit underneath. It's the thinnest. So what I'm going to end up doing with all of this is I've got remesh, and I'm going to, so right now a lot of this is like less than a ½ inch thick, where I just skimmed it over the lath, but it'll end up being at least an inch thick after I add the remesh. But right now the drainage is my only concern, really, so I'm just not sure if it's getting to that drain or if it's going here. I'm partially taking this so that I can look at it when I'm inside and see if I need to come out here and clean that water feature out with the towel. So it's about noon on Friday, which is the same day that it rained. And so I've done, and it's supposed to rain at 2, but there's been a break since like 10 a.m. to 2, so I've done mortar. I've done 2 batches of mortar. I got the remesh in, you can see there, and you can see the outline of it probably. So there's 3 pieces of remesh. All of these obstacle things in here are holding down the remesh in places to keep it flat. And I got a lot in the low spot there. And basically all of the 2 batches except for 1 bucket. So I got 1 bucket onto the back side of where that form was. So that's all those staples got kind of mortared over. I didn't get to the back side of the other form yet, but this was really good as far as the timing, and it's nice and sunny and dry for at least a little bit. And fingers are crossed that this will be okay for the rain that's coming a little later. But I'm really glad I was able to get all that remesh in. So I think I'm not sure if I just said, but there's 3 full pieces of remesh in there. 1 along the back side, 1 along this side, that have a bend along the edge to help it bond with the other wall. Because the remesh is what's really going to bear the load when you walk out on there. So then, and then this one has the short end bent onto that side. So there's a remesh bent along one of each of the walls that should help to connect it. And then right here, it connects to the arch tunnel dome thing, which is also structural, all ferrous cement. So I don't know if it's going to shed water better or not, but I doubt I'm going to be able to get another batch on until after the next rain. So I don't know. I guess the worst case scenario is that like the Aircrete in there gets waterlogged. The thing is that I really wanted to avoid is that those insulation panels in there, they can get waterlogged, and when they're waterlogged, they really hold the water. But they only get waterlogged if they're really kind of, I don't know, it's difficult to get the water to permeate them. And so that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want that. But ultimately, it would just slightly reduce the insulation value. And then obviously, if there's water in there, then when the winter comes, when it freezes, that can create further problems. So I want it to ultimately dry out. And so that's why I've taken this course of trying to seal it up as quickly as possible. And I think it did all right. Anyways, it is what it is, but I'm happy with it. So this leaking is a double negative, which turns into a positive. So the one negative is that it did get so... the way that the rain drained was actually, I think, going off into that corner there on the far wall. So then it got under this, and then it got to the under cement layer, which has that drain in it. But that pipe is a 2-inch, and then this drain here is a 1.5-inch. So I just put the one pipe into the other pipe, and I didn't cement them because it wasn't a tight fit. And I put duct tape around the one to try to make it tight to the other one. And I thought the duct tape was going to be kind of watertight. But the good news is that that was a double fail. So that the water that got into the drain under there is able to drain through the drain because the duct tape in between the 1.5-inch and the 2-inch isn't watertight. So that the sub drain is still working. So then so that because that works, hopefully that water isn't backing up and filling that one hole there. But I don't know if we'll ever really figure out if that happens, but it looks like that's the situation currently. That I would say that the probability is pretty high that this hole here, which is the big concern and has the insulation big styrofoam block in the bottom, I think it has not flooded with water. But the fact that these are wet might mean it does. Anyways, it has a little bit of breathing room with the cement. But essentially, that is actually, that double negative becomes a good thing, that the water that got behind it now has a way out because that duct tape isn't secure. And if I wanted to increase the drainage, I could shove something up the pipe and knock that connection piece back a little bit to make that duct tape even just a little bit looser. That'll help the drainage. But I wouldn't want to do that until the top is cemented firmly enough so that any moving underneath or whatever won't create a crack at where the drain has the cement meeting it. So anyways, there's just a little status update as far as how everything went. It did not shed properly, but that fail compounding with another fail turned into a success. Got a third batch of mortar on today, Friday. And most of it went in the back because the back was between an inch and an inch or two too low. So that should help. There's still quite a bit to do, but I'm basically just going to do one piece at a time. There's a bit left that I had to move the rocks, and so there's some holes over there. Most of the other holes are done. You can see the edges of the remesh. That one is at an angle. That's a long side over there, and then a long side over here. But it's not right up to the wall, especially right there. It gets pretty far away from the wall. So once the mortar that's currently there cures, I can bend that remesh cut where necessary to get it as close to the wall as possible so that I can then mortar it into there. I'm hesitant to say it, but I think right now it will shed water to the drain. most all of it, either to that drain or to this drain. But it's supposed to rain in an hour or two, so we'll see. If this is too wet, I'll throw a tarp over it. But hopefully it'll be all good, and we'll see how it pools after the next rain. I did end up covering it all up because it did end up raining. I just lifted up the tarp and all the water is running to right there. Those bubbles there is like the head of it, and it's making its way to the drain, sort of. But the good news is, oh yep, there it goes to the drain. And now it's all draining. Good, good, good. So it's now shedding properly. At least in that whole area where I just dumped that water. Or that came off of the tarp. So that's great. I think I'm going to put a piece of rebar in there, because there's a big enough gap there for rebar, and it would probably be helpful there. And then take out the rest of the rocks and things and do another coat and a more kind of finish coat, and test the rest of the areas rather than just right there. Here's that piece of rebar added in. So it bends to right in line with that other piece of rebar that's there. So it'll give tensile strength to that corner to be able to pull from all the way up here, basically. And then I bent the remesh, and the rocks are pinning the remesh up against the existing concrete as much as possible so that the angle can be as tight as possible. And then the same thing on these ones. So I'm about to do a batch of mortar, and it will end up covering, or get a first coat covering the remesh, which will integrate the floor into the walls. So that any downward pressure, it pulls all the walls inwards together and will make this whole thing even more strong. But on to mortar for today, first of Saturday. First mortar batch of Saturday. With one more batch now. A lot of the remesh has a second coat, so it's not showing. Most all of the low areas have been added to. So, but the big thing that was in the last coat is that the remesh is getting integrated with the sidewall. So that's the first coat. It'll take at least one more to get it. And then this one is a little bit more, but all the rebar is fully integrated there. And after that dries, I'll have to repin some of that remesh there with the rocks. But pretty darn close to level. There's no big pooling anymore. Everything's draining. And looking darn good. I also was able to get the back side of where that right form was and fill in the last gap. So this wall is now solid. And I think my next step is to shape those last two merlons. And then I've got to cut the last three there to be level before they can get mortared. And then once that mortar in there dries, I can also get to those top ones and stuff. Here it is with one more batch of mortar. And then it got the second batch on, or the second coat on most of the areas where the remesh connects to the walls. So that's pretty solidly integrated now once that all dries. There's just a couple holes over here. All the holes over there are filled, and with every coat it gets closer to level and smoother, so long as it's really wet. And so better and better. It's still not like there was quite a bit of a low spot back there, and I'll still have to do at least one more to get it finished, but better and better. This is Lightfoot, and this is Sweet Harmies. Oh, I just love them so much. But they've had a tough life. They get picked on by all the other hens and roosters, and they're both disabled, and I don't feel like I could give them a good quality of life. So today they're getting left out here, and I'll check on them tomorrow, give them food and water, and then every day leave them out here for maybe a week. And if nothing eats them within a week, maybe I'll take them back. Well, it's the following morning, and Lightfoot and Hermes are nowhere to be seen. I came back last night and brought them some food. They were kind of like over there where I left them, and both of them ran over basically to where the food and water are. They ran to me because they love me, even though they can't run, and they both have disabled legs, and they had to do some kind of hobbling, flying thing, but they both love me. And they come to me and they know that I love them. And because I couldn't give them a good life, nature ended it as naturally and probably quickly as possible. And I pray that their souls continue to return back to me, and hopefully they'll get a brand new healthy body. Monday morning, yesterday I did a batch and maybe some metal bending, and got some more coverage on those Merlons, and then got the ladder up there. Finally got some full coverage on that corner Merlon, and just getting access to new places. So I'm gonna do one more batch, get some more coverage on all those. On that corner one, there's a hole on the back side which will finish the final outer smear coat of this whole tower structure, and then that Merlon as well as probably filling some of these holes. I had tried to move one of these rocks yesterday or earlier, I think it was that one or something, and the remesh pushed right back out despite the mortar hadn't cured long enough, didn't have enough reinforcement. So and then got some lath connecting this rebar to the structure there, so this one can surely move. There's a big rock, but so basically just have to fill that hole to integrate the rebar there, and then get it from the other side so that it's fully integrated. And at some point I'll need to do another coat on the floor. I've been trying to keep it wet as much as possible because especially the thin coat dries out extra fast. But before I wanted to do a finish getting coverage on these Merlons before I do the floor. So that's where we're at for now, and I'm going to try to get some more coverage on these side things, and I might fill in this hole relatively soon. I'm almost out of sand, so I also got to see about getting another sand delivery. Hey, off the table, you two. Off the table, off the chair. Oh, they pooped on the chair. Stinkers. So, this is the last video of the week. It's Monday afternoon. The rain is thundering in the clouds. What I have done today, and there might have been one more batch since the last video, I'm not sure, but I leveled the wall there, and then those walls there, though I haven't cut one section there, but got some mortar on a lot of that. Pretty soon I think I'm gonna fill this hole. I think I already said that in another video. I got a little more on the Merlon. I got this side wall on this Merlon that makes this whole wall section look like it's about 10 inches thick if you're down there. And it also gives it some important structural reinforcement. And a bit more over there, and a bit more on this. This remesh is all kind of covered. and working on these merlons, and also the crenelles. I am raising those up to be level with that one, which I accidentally made too high, so now I'm gonna change them all to be that same height, which I think ends up giving a slightly better aesthetic also, to have a slightly shorter looking merlon, especially that one looked really tall. So I'm doing that all the way around on those two crenelles as well. The crenelle are the gaps in between the merlons, and then the whole set of the things forms a crenellation. So I still haven't done the finished batch in here, but it's all coming along. That's the last video. I still I'm sad about Hermes and Lightfoot, but I'm also happy for them to be kind of liberated. That same day they had really gotten picked on by all the other chickens, and I had spent a lot of time with them, and anyways, I think it was the best choice. So I leveled this out too, and I just haven't cut the left side, and then I gotta make a staircase at some point, but I'm almost out of sand, so I gotta figure out getting more sand. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.